Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol battle report for the channel. Today for you we have a 20 threat match from the new criminal syndicate led by Shadowland's Daredevil versus Convocation. So without further ado we'll go into the details, including the other new minions added to the game, and we're just going to be calling them Hired Goons, so if that bothers you, apologies, but they're Hired Goons, even if they are hand assassins. We'll talk a little bit about them. They're basically the same as the shield agents from last time though, but we'll just cover it just in case. So here is the criminal syndicate team being led by Shadowland's Daredevil, even though Kingpin is also here. Shadowland's Daredevil affiliation bonus is that if you're attacking someone holding or contesting an objective, you can reroll one attack die, but that does include skull results, which makes it slightly better and than above average, I would say. Elektra is also here. Gambit is here because he has a dark past. Murdoch, Kingpin, as said, and of course the trio of hand assassins. Now what's interesting is Shadowland Daredevil and Elektra both have the ability to summon the hand assassins, but you can only ever have one hired goon out on the table at any one time. So I'm not sure if they're actually going to synergize with each other or if they're accidentally kind of opposing each other, because only one of them can have control of the hand assassins at any one time, because the hand assassins activate before they do when you pick one of them to activate, whichever one is the parent. So you have to denote that when the game starts, which we will, but it is a little bit interesting. They might not gel well together. They might have to be separated to fully shine, but we'll see as we go. The tactics cards for Criminal Syndicate: Shuriken, Arashi, Vendetta, Cruel Tutelage, No Mercy, and Dark Past. And our 20 threat of Convocation are being led by War Criminal Dr. Strange himself, the Ancient One, Magic, we have Clea, and we have the Scarlet Witch. Now, Sorcerer Supreme Strange is the one that's going to be picked as the leader. He's taking the Moons of Munpor as his affiliation bonus from the Bar with No Doors, but he can pay one power and the power phases, I think it is, to switch it to the other version if he so chooses. But that's the one that benefits mystic attacks if they're either attacking a target that hasn't activated yet or are being attacked when they haven't activated yet. So their tactics cards, we can quickly look at that. Ironbound Book of Shumagorath, Wand of Watum, Plane of Poldak, The Whims of Chaos, and Journey Through Limbo. And here is the two crisis cards being played. Left is the threat value: the secure superpowered scoundrels form Sinister Syndicate. It's the newest mission added to the game, I think. 5 ambush tokens on the map, 1 VP for each one held in the cleanup phase, and if you are contesting one of the ambush tokens and are attacked by someone who is not, you count as being in cover. The extraction, 17 threat Skrulls, so it's the 3 decoys. One of them is the Skrull. You've got to find them. We never do on this channel, but hey, we might as well try. It's the rolling 2 dice, and one of them has to be a crit. We'll see if that matters, but we can quickly look at the setup of the ambush tokens. It's the standard kind of like 5 layout, so 1, 2, 3, other side of this building, and then also in the center here where there is also one of the potential decoys for the Skrull, another one over there, and one behind that tree just there. So we'll get both sides set up and be back at deployment. So both sides are set up. The Criminal Syndicate is to your left and the Convocation are to your right. Convocation are taking a first activation, although I think, yeah, they've got one less. Actually no, well, it depends if the grunts are counter or not. Either way, we can look at where they are. The Scarlet Witch and Ancient One are down here, then we have War Criminal Strange in the middle, and then Clea and Magic up the top there. Then over here for the Criminal Syndicate, Modoc's off on his own down here, Gambit and the Kingpin are next to each other, Shadowland's Daredevil and Elektra are there, and the grunts are there. For the purposes of starting the game, it is going to be Shadowland's Daredevil that is the parent of them, so when he activates, they go before he does. The Ancient One got the game started for Convocation, moving up twice in order to reach the potential Skrull right here, spending 1 of our 2 power to try and discover, and we are going to see the roll live to see whether or not... Oh! Now that is very rare. She actually has discovered the Skrull and has now got it on her person, which means she can only move small now, but that is unheard of, finding it on the first roll. So the other 2, they'll be removed from the table now as well. Murdoch activated first for the Criminal Syndicate, hoping to take advantage of being able to get into threat range of the person with a target on their back now. Moved up on top of the building, also obviously contesting the ambush token up there. but within range to fire a psionic bolt down at the Ancient One. She's got 5 Mystic Defense, so there wasn't much chance of it doing a lot of damage. He did sap 1 power from her though, and did get 2 hits through. The Scarlet Witch activated next for Convocation. 1 medium move was not enough to put MODOK in the threat range of her Hex Bolt, range 4. So she just moved up and repositioned again slightly, so that next turn she'd be able to potentially either guard the Ancient One or dish out some punishment. The hefty frame of the Kingpin activated next for Criminal Syndicate, and he moves small, so it was a double small move to put him on that central ambush token, which is he's a pretty hefty object to move, so he might be safe there, we'll see. Magic activated for Convocation, and she also moved. It was a move and a short move because she was climbing to get on top of the building up here, but because of the weird way that ranges work in this game, she is still holding, or at least contesting, that back ambush token despite being on a quite large building next to it. So it was time for Shadowland Daredevil to make his move, which means the hand ninjas also activate, and they actually activate before him. They can't help secure anything, but they do have a free ability to pass around civilian and asset tokens. Not relevant here, but just in general, if they ever get their hands on the scroll, I guess. But either way, all they did was kind of do a move and a half. They want to be within a certain distance of Daredevil and or Elektra to potentially get some bonus dice or free attacks. Then Shadowland Daredevil activated. He moves medium. He moved medium onto the ambush token and then did his baton snare. Range 4, doesn't need line of sight, denies cover, doesn't generate him any power though, but if it before damage is dealt, it has Pursuit for free, where he gets to move small towards his target, and he did it on Magic, so that's why he's now on top of that car there. And Magic up here got clubbed by a baton for 2 damage. 2 is apparently the magic number so far. So the War Criminal Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme activated. He moved up medium and then opted, instead of contesting, simply to try and attack Kingpin. He spent 1 on Deadly Daggers of Daggeroth. He gets to pick what type of they are. He picked Mystic, just Kingpin's a 4/3/3, so it doesn't really matter as long as it's Energy or Mystic. And got him for 2 damage. Now Kingpin could have spent his 1 power to reduce that down to 1, opted not to because poison is going to stifle his power generation a little bit, so he's holding on to that along with what he just gained from taking damage. And again, 2 is the magic number, pardon the pun. Gambit moved up twice through the parking lot to help Kingpin secure that middle ambush token. Did so to stop Clea doing a final activation for the Convocation steal, well not steal, but block if she was to contest that middle point. But that does leave Clea's activation. There's no point for her to go after that now because 2 beats 1. But Elektra still needs to go for the Criminal Syndicate as well. She could get somewhere to be annoying, but we'll talk about her activation when we get to it. Yep, so since she can't counteract Kingpin holding that central ambush token, Clea is just helping to hold this back one here. That Magic is also on, which means even if Elektra could reach here, there's now no point her doing that either. So final activation for the round, Elektra moves medium and did so twice to go around the hotel over there to get around the far side to start putting a little bit of pressure on the back ambush token in the Convocation side of the map. Worth pointing out, none of her attacks generate power. She gets power in the power phase, and I think there's one other little trick she can do to get power, but her basic attack and her spending attack, none of them generate her power. So if she was to get poisoned, that would be very bad. So she's trying to stay very far away from the Deadly Daggers of Daggeroth. So at the end of the first battle round, there was actually quite a bit of damage dealt, all the 2s. 2 people on the Convocation side took 2 damage, only 1 person on the Criminal Syndicate side took 2 damage. Was it so hard to not have one of them damaged to make it 2-2-2-2? But anyway, the Ancient One is holding the scroll, so that's 2 victory points right there. The Scarlet Witch is holding that ambush token, and Clea and Magic are holding the one at the back of that building up there. So in total, 2 for the scroll, 2 of the ambush points, takes them to 4. Criminal Syndicate, they have 3, the other 3 ambush tokens. MODOK up here, Kingpin and Gambit there, and then, oh wait, no they don't. Because the hand assassins, or hand ninjas, can't secure a secure objective. That was a mistake. So never mind, they only gained 2 there. Elektra should have stayed there because Daredevil moved forwards to chase after Magic. Well, it was a genuine mistake, but we don't get to retcon stuff like that because it was just, that was a tactical error. Learning how to use the grunts. With that, let's jump into Battle Round 2. Convocation still have first activation. So before we even jump into the first activation, there's actually a tactics card being played by both sides that happen in the power phase. So we'll go over the Criminal Syndicate one first. Dark Past is being played as a Gambit card in the power phase. As long as you're not using Uncanny X-Men affiliation, Gambit can play this card. Allies within 3 of him gain stealth until the end of the round. As far as you can tell, grunts don't get affected by tactics cards, so it doesn't affect them. But Kingpin and MODOK gain stealth this turn. That might not matter. It's kind of trying to make force Scarlet Witch to come in closer. We'll see if that makes any difference in going forwards. The Convocation are playing Ironbound Book of Shumagorath. It is the Ancient One coughing up the 2 power required during the power phase to play this. And for this turn, when any of the Convocation are attacked by a physical attack, they can treat it as Mystic for the purposes of defending, which gives all of them better defense dice. Simple as that, and this card can be brought back to the hand if one of them is KO'd. So for the Convocation, they activated Magic first this round. She moved medium, hopped off the building, ended up there contesting that back ambush token. She then spent 3 power on Journey Through Limbo to teleport Shadowland's Daredevil, because he was within 2 of her. Teleports within 3 and sets him on fire, so he has been relegated to behind the newsstand there and is incinerated. Then it gets a little embarrassing. She used her Soul Sword, which is her free Mystic Attack 5 dice with Pierce, etc., on the Hand Ninjas, hoping to easily kill them because they've got like 2 health, is it? Either way, doesn't matter. The initial roll was literally all blanks, but then the Convocation affiliation bonus kicks in because they haven't activated yet, so she got 1 reroll. That became a hit. They have 2 Mystic Defense. They blocked it. Very embarrassing. Well, the embarrassment continues, but this time for the Criminal Syndicate. They activated Gambit and he chucked some explosive throwing cards at Doctor Strange. The first barrage had 2 hits through it, but it's counting as Mystic, so he has lots of defense dice. His Mystic Armor of Doctor Strange also kicks in, so he was able to generate a little bit of extra power. Fully blocked it. Second attempt at chucking explosive throwing cards at him from Mr. Gambit had no successes in the initial roll, and because War Criminal up there isn't contesting or anything, no reroll from Shadowland Daredevil's affiliation bonus. So, wasted activation. That was rough. Well, taking advantage of MODOK not wanting to move up on his own and give up that ambush token, the Ancient One activated. She's reduced to small movement for holding on to the Kree agent, but moved to the far side of this ambush token as far away as she can get from both Kingpin and MODOK. They're going to have to chase her down if they want her. Alright, Shadowland's Daredevil activated next, and we have a lot to cover. You'll see there's quite a lot of replaced miniatures here. So, before he activates, his hand ninjas have to activate. They attacked Magic twice. With their basic, it's normally physical, but again, because of the bound book, it's counting as Mystic. It's only 4 dice. It does bleed on a double wild, but Magic also has a rule where if she gets wilds in her defense roll against Mystic attacks, she turns them to blank, similar to the Mystic Armor of Doctor Strange. And she gets power for each die changed like that. So that helped her make sure that there was no damage received there. Then Shadowland Daredevil activated. He has Wall Crawler, so he just hopped on over the building to contest this ambush token here as his first action. For his second action, he spent on Shuriken Arashi, which is a 2 cost for him. If there's a Hand Ninja in play within 2 of Daredevil, you use them as the line of sight and etc. for the attack. And you do the attack above, which is 10 dice physical, range 3. However, before you activate it, the target of the attack gets to move away small, and if they benefit from cover, you lose half the dice. Magic did move regardless. Still think, based on where they're standing, she would not get cover because they can see most of her base, but it wouldn't matter anyway because there was only 3 successes in a 10 dice roll and no rerolls because she's not contesting anything. And then her defense roll was only 2 successes, but they were both wilds, so she converted 2 of those successes they had to nothing, got power for it, and then blocked the 1 remaining damage. So that was a big fat waste of what otherwise would have been a great tactics card, and upon using it, you also lose the Hand Ninjas. They will be back. Technically Elektra can summon them during her turn as well, but then she becomes their parent. That might be the best bet for what to do, we'll see. Sorcerer Supreme activated next. He moved medium in order to get into contesting range of that central ambush token. He then spent all his power, all 6 he had, for Shining Circle of the Seraphim Area 2. It does a bunch of potential stuff like healing and removing status effects. It also doesn't deal damage to allies within range 2. There's no one within that threat range, so we don't need to worry about that. So it boils down to 7 dice Mystic attack on Kingpin and Gambit. It did 3 damage to Kingpin. This time he did pay 1 for his substantial frame to bring the damage down by 1 to 2. Gambit straight up just took 2 damage. This isn't on purpose. 2 is just apparently the damage number for the Convocation. So 2 damage to each of them. He is contesting, but right now he's obviously being beaten by them both. But that's 4 damage on Kingpin now, of his 7 health on his healthy side, so he's getting there. Well, the Kingpin wanted a little bit of payback, also did not end up moving at all on his turn. He spent on, what was it called again? Hail to the King! 3 power, 7 dice physical, throw before damage dealt, and does stagger afterwards. So he chucked Doctor Strange into the lamppost that was there, that deals 1 damage. He also has the stagger from just doing the attack. The attack itself, though, he gets to count it as Mystic because it's a physical attack, didn't do any damage. So then he got a cane laser to the face from the Kingpin that did 1 damage. In total, you guessed it, 2. Scarlet Witch activated, and from where she was standing she hovered over with her flight medium to contest the central point here. She fired a hex bolt into Gambit. Remember, she loves getting skulls results. And it would have done a bunch of status effects to him, but it doesn't matter. It did 4 damage, only needed to do 3, so he is dazed. She then made use of the Whims of Chaos. Spent 2 power. For every power spent, you pick a character within 3. She picked Doctor Strange and Kingpin. Doctor Strange got to remove his stagger, and Kingpin has gained Incinerate, just to try and make sure he's very easy to daze next turn. She and Kingpin are now the only ones contesting that middle point as well for the turn. Oh, and before we move on, there is actually a counter play from our tactics card. Vendetta can be played now by the Criminal Syndicate. So when an allied character is dazed or KO'd, Gambit just was, Elektra can play this card. Mark the enemy that caused the effect with a Vendetta token. We're just going to have to try and remember. The next attack made by Elektra targeting that character gets 3 extra dice, and then you remove the Vendetta token. So the next time Elektra attacks Wanda, she's going to be rolling a lot more dice. Second last activation this turn for Criminal Syndicate was Elektra. She came around the corner and attacked Clea with her basic attack, range 3, 5 dice Mystic with Pierce as her Psi attacks. But going up against decent Mystic defense, even the Pierce didn't make a difference, and Clea blocked all the damage. Now you will notice, of course, that the hand ninjas are back. There isn't actually a choice. The wording on the attack says that after it's resolved, if there is not a hand ninja on the field, you must, or it just says place, but it doesn't say you may place, it says place, so you don't get a choice. So Elektra is now the parent of that hand ninja. It's meant to have an activate token because obviously if your parent has activated, you can activate the grunt, but we'll put that down in a second. So as we cover Clea's activation, which is the last in Battle Round 2 for Convocation, I will once again reiterate that all the 2 damages being dealt is literally by chance. It is not being forced, it is just happening, and it is weird. She did her basic attack on the hand ninjas, got 2 damage through to them, they have 2 health, so they are once again out of there, removing any potential issues if Shadowland Daredevil wants to summon them next turn. She then spent all of her power, which is 3 I believe, to do Icy Talons of Icthalon. Does a bunch of stuff, but you need like wilds hits or wilds and crits. She got 3 hits through, 1 of which was blocked, but they were all just normal hits. So 2 damage to Elektra. She's generated some power upon taking damage. Forgot to mention the thing I alluded to earlier is she has a passive. As long as she successfully deals damage with an attack or a superpower, she gets 1 power flat from doing that. And that's her other method of gaining power. Well, last activation of Battle Round 2 was Murdoch, and even from there he can do some pretty nasty stuff with his range 4 attacks. He spent on a Doomsday Chair on Wanda to start with. It actually did really well against her. It did 3 damage, and then Doctor Strange is within 2, so a free attack with Doomsday Chair was done on him, but he managed to fully block it. Then, to follow up as his other action, he fired a Psionic Bolt at Wanda, and that got through for 2 as well, so the Scarlet Witch is hurting. She has 1 or 2 health left. She's also sitting on a lot of power though, and now that we're at the end of the round, that does mean Convocation is going first next round too, so she might be able to unleash the beast. We'll see. So then about round 2, the Criminal Syndicate was doing much better there with point denial for Convocation, although they didn't gain that much themselves. They hold the rear one here, the rear ambush token with MODOK. Shadowland Daredevil hold that one, they gain 2 victory points. It's a draw here, it's a draw up there, and the Ancient One is holding this one. So as far as ambush tokens go, Convocation only gained 1 victory point there, but of course they're still holding on to the Kree Agent, or the Scroll, sorry, so that's 2 more, giving them a total of 3. Meaning, as we go into Battle Round 3, Convocation retaining first activation, they are leading 7 victory points to 4, and Gambit is flipping his card. So knowing that she would soon be dazed, Wanda got Battle Round 3 started, and she unleashed the beast as promised. She started with a cruel twist, her 6 spend, 8 mystic, reality contortion, you don't get to count crits as successes or roll extra dice against it. She used it on poor Gambit. Oh Gambit, I'm so sorry. That's a casual 8 damage to Gambit, so he is just gone. Utterly gone. He has not had the best of luck on this table and this channel in general. He'll have his time to shine, I'm sure, but that's not today. She then just used a Hex Bolt on Wilson. He spent 1 to reduce it from 3 damage to 2 damage because that kept him conscious. So Wanda picked up the street cleaner that had been behind her there, chucked it at him. He actually fully dodged it, or blocked it, let's say it bounced off his belly. So he lived on 1 health. Oh wait, he should have had 1 less defense on the dodge as well, right? Or is Incinerate only defense dice? Oh, I don't think Incinerate affects dodge. If that's the case, then it's fine. If not, then he rolled 1 too many dice. I think it doesn't affect dodge. Don't quite remember. We'll say that's the way, but it might be wrong. He definitely rolled his full defense dice against the dodge. Just now had a thought that might not be right. Well, you better believe we're staying here, because Kingpin activated and did some street level negotiation with Wanda, picked her up and chucked her into Doctor Strange. The 1 flat damage she takes is enough that she is dazed. Strange whiffed his defense roll, or dodge roll, sorry, so he took 2 from that. No, it's not a joke. Wilson then fired 2 cane lasers for his actual activation. First one, no damage at all. Second damage, 2 damage. Second one, 2 damage. Again, not a joke, and also enough that Sorcerer Supreme is dazed as well. So that kind of makes up for Gambit going down, I guess. Oh, sorry, forgot to mention, but for his actions, Wilson also played No Mercy, which is a Criminal Syndicate card. When an allied character would daze an enemy character, the allied character may play this card to gain 3 power. So Wilson has done that, knowing he's probably going to get dazed at some point real soon, but that does give him a lot of power to play with when he next gets an activation. Clea activated and we've had our first spike of the game. I know you might be thinking, but what about the damage done to Gambit? But that was from a massive spending attack. We count that more as like a free attack where you're rolling like 4 dice, but you roll a bunch of crits and it blows up into even more damage even after defense. So she did her basic attack on Elektra and took dealt 3 damage to her, which was decent enough, but she wanted to seal the deal, so she spent 2 power on Wand of Watum for her other action, which is not in focus, apologies, and did the Elemental Blast 7-die energy at the top here. Did very well with it again, 3 more damage, did not need to do that much. Elektra is dazed and will not be getting a turn. This is going to end up being a very quick round with all these dazes. So Shadowland's Daredevil activated for the Criminal Syndicate. However, just a little addition to what happened with Elektra just now. Forgot to mention that during the second attack on her, Elektra used Martial Prowess. Didn't help her, but just so anyone keeping track of power understands that she did spend 2 power on that. It gives her 5 defense dice. If she had fully blocked the attack, she would have dealt damage back, but did not. Anyway, Shadowland's Daredevil moved into position so you could be just within range 2 of magic and still within 1 of contesting the ambush token there. He did his basic attack, which is Coordinated Strike. Only managed to do 1 damage to her. She's up to 3 damage over 5, but he also gets to place within 1 the Hand Ninjas, and they have an activated token. Although actually, even though they get an activated token, let me just check here, don't they get a free attack? Let's see here. When this character is placed onto the battlefield as a result of Coordinated Strike, he may immediately make an attack. Back in 1 moment. Yeah, so this is why you check things. Also, when they appeared for Elektra, they did not get a free attack, so that was done incorrectly. Apologies. But they spiked. That's their dice right there. They ended up with 4 all said and done. There's, in all said and done, the defense. So Magic is actually dazed, which is pretty big because she was about to activate, and now she can't, which that just means leaves the Ancient One for Convocation, and then back over to MODOK for the Syndicate. So as much as it might seem like doing nothing is a bad thing, the Ancient One is activating and unactivating because she doesn't want to go looking for a fight. She's holding on to the Skrull. She's earning 3 victory points where she's sitting right this second. She hasn't got any reason to move, so she's just done, and it's over to MODOK. Well, ultimately MODOK decided that if everything stays as it is with Convocation having a 3-point lead, it's not going to end well for them. They have to start being proactive to try and get things in their favour. So he abandoned the token he was at. He flew forward small, which put him right there in front of a dilapidated police station. He spent his 3 power on a Doomsday chair, and it got the Ancient One, because she was only having 2 physical defense, of course, because the Book of Shurgorath is out of commission this turn. Got her for 5, she had 2 damage on her already, so she is dazed. But he doesn't have enough power to pick up the Skrull. So the Skrull is now just sprawled out on the street there, 2 away from her. But he has also just denied 3 victory points, which is super significant because that's how much of a lead they had. With that, let's go to scoring for Battle Round 3. Well, as we prepare to go into Battle Round 4, the Criminal Syndicate's plan is starting to work. Without the protection from the book Tactics Guard, the Convocation do not do well against brutality, which is what they received that turn, although to be fair, they did dish out their fair share. Gambit's gone, Elektra got taken down. But victory points wise, Convocation gained 1, and that is purely from Clea up there at the back there, holding that ambush token. The Skrull is on the floor, so nobody gains from that, and Criminal Syndicate only gained 2. Kingpin barely holding it together in the middle there, and Shadowland Daredevil holding that. But they have closed the gap. They go into Battle Round 4, Convocation stick with first priority, and it is 8 playing 6. So Battle Round 4 got started with the Ancient One getting a little bit of payback and also playing Plane of Poldak on MODOK for 3 power. You pick a target, you spend 3, any allied character that attacks that character with a mystic attack can re-roll misses. So that's pretty good. Then she punched him in the soul with Astral Strike. It did a massive 5 damage. She re-rolled to get more hits, and obviously wilds don't count against MODOK as well, so you've got to be careful with that. Still managed to do 5, and because she dealt damage, it more importantly staggered him. So when he does get a turn, he's only got that 1 action, and that could be super important because for her other action, she moved between the ambush token and the Skrull, paid 1 power, and picked up the Skrull. So she's back to holding him. We'll see for how long. MODOK unleashed his Doomsday Chair in an effort to just take out the Ancient One in a single hit, given she's got 2 physical defense. Got her good, but not good enough. Got her for 3 damage. So he had to shake the stagger for his first action. But then he also used his mind control skill. I've forgotten what the name of it is offhand. But either way, moved her within small of her current position and moved her away from the ambush token she was on and further towards harm. The Sorcerer Supreme activated from where he was standing. He threw a deadly dagger at the Kingpin. Wilson took 3 damage and has been dazed, will not be activating. He then moved medium, he flew to roughly here, and then in order to cover the distance required, used Scalpel of Strange for massive 4 power on himself to move himself to where you can see him now within one of this back ambush token and still a potential threat around him. Elektra activated and decided to use her big 5 power spender attack. It's called Impale, but it has range 1. So she had to move as her first action to actually be within range 1 of Clea. After it's done, she could move medium, but she doesn't want to. 8 dice physical, the target doesn't get to count crits as successes or roll extra dice on crits, similar to how Crow Twist works for Wanda. And I think that's it other than the free medium move. Either way, it did 5 damage, so Clea just basically got 1 shot. She is dazed, and now Elektra is holding that. She would have got some bonuses if the hand ninjas were near her. Obviously that didn't apply this time. Magic activated, and this is why you don't leave her sitting on a lot of power. First of all, she spent 2 to limbo step 2 within her current position, which just barely puts her within 1 of that ambush token. She then did Dark Child, her big special spender on Shadowland Daredevil. It does a bunch of extra stuff. It counts skulls in the attack roll and defense roll as successes. And let's see what else. It would have done some stats effects, but it doesn't matter because she spiked and did 7 damage, which is a 1 shot on Shadowland Daredevil. He was rolling 1 less defense dice, to be fair, but he has 6 health on his health side. He buffs up on his other side though, because the beast is unleashed. Normally that would just mean that the hand ninjas just get an activated token. For her other actual action, because limbo stepping isn't an action, she did a basic attack, did 2 damage to them, so they are once again off the table. That might be for the best though if they go help out Elektra. I guess we can see. But with Shadowland's Daredevil getting dazed there, that means there's no one left to activate this turn for Criminal Syndicate, so it's just over to Wanda to end off the round. So it's just down to Wanda, and she did eventually move such that she is the only one claiming that central ambush point, but not before firing a Hex Bolt over at MODOK. Just remembered she should have been re-rolling against him, totally forgot. That might have made a difference. She got 4 through, 5 would have dazed him, but unfortunately don't remember now if there was blanks. Technically, you could have probably re-rolled any wilds as well, right? Because wilds count as blanks against MODOK. Too late. That could have made a difference. Either way, MODOK is alive on 1. She could have fired another Hexpole at him, which almost certainly would have finished him off, but wanted to try and secure some points. And on that note, let's go to the scoring. So at the end of Battle Round 4, despite the best efforts from the Criminal Syndicate, Convocation is pulling out in front. The Convocation still held on to the scroll because the Ancient One picked them up again for 2 victory points. Supreme Strange has this ambush token, Wanda has this one, Magic has that one, nobody has that one, and Elektra has that one, which means that's the only point that Criminal Syndicate gained that turn, which is pretty rough. They do now have priority as we go into Battle Round 5, but it's 13 playing 7, so Convocation just needs to secure 3 victory points this turn. Might be hard for them, they're all very hurt, and that's all of them flipped now because Clea's flipping her card. So we'll see how it goes. I imagine it'll be MODOK going first, but let's jump into Battle Round 5 and see. So to get Battle Round 5 started, it was indeed MODOK, and if you ever want to see like a critical fail, I think we might have the dice for you. So he tried to do a Doomsday Chair on the Ancient One. Here's the roll, including the result of the crit, so that's 1 success. And there's the defense roll, also bad to be fair, but that does only equal 1 damage, which we've forgotten to put on there, apologies, but she took 1 damage, big whoop. He then did his basic Psionic Strike, that did no damage at all. So the Ancient One is still fine, and that's probably, as I say, the death knell for this going any other way than a Convocation win, but we will play on and see. So the Ancient One activated first for the Convocation, and she decided to be a spiteful you-know-what and attacked MODOK with her basic attack. 1 damage, he is dazed. She then backed off nice and safe, and I mean that quite literally. I don't think there's any way she can be touched. Maybe by the Cane Laser from Wilson, because it matters, because she is generating 3 victory points on her own. If everyone else on the table for Convocation died, or they just weren't holding objectives and Criminal Syndicate were holding all 4 of the other ambush tokens, they would still lose because of the 3 here. So all that matters is if Ancient One gets taken out, drops the scroll, even if no one picks it up. That would give them more time. So we pretty much can just end, but I think Wilson can move Cane Laser. If he spikes, that would change things. So we'll do that because nothing else can matter to the outcome now. So here's how Wilson's turn could play out. He could move small to there. Cane Laser's range 3, not enough to reach her. Now I think if he moves small instead, yeah, he would contest this. It would be nullified because they're both on their flip sides, so no one would score that. That would only mean that she's securing 2 points for holding the scroll. However, with Kingpin doing that, no one can reach Steven up here, so there's where the other 1 point comes from. No matter how you slice it, Criminal Syndicate cannot stop Convocation. I know I just said we'd play out the turn, but when it became painfully obvious that it's literally impossible for them to now stop the win thanks to MODOK messing up that Doomsday Chair, if that Doomsday Chair had done what it was supposed to do, there was still a game to play. But there isn't now, so we are just going to call it there. It is a Convocation victory. Given that we're not playing out the final turn in full, we're not going to bother tallying the points, simply saying that the Convocation is the victor. We'll say they got to 16 on the dot, but the Criminal Syndicate, they could have got anywhere from staying on 7 to getting to like 10 or 11, depending on how well they did. I wouldn't say Elektra and Shadowland's Daredevil did a lot here. I think MODOK and Kingpin were working their butts off, and sadly it wasn't quite enough. Gambit getting taken out by Cruel Twist is some kind of twist, perhaps of the cruel variety. So that was a little rough. Elektra one-shotting Clea was pretty cool, but Convocation is bad against physical attacks, so it makes kind of sense. We'll need to see them again in the future, I think. So far I think S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick Fury and his S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, they feel like they synergize better, but as I say, the ninjas didn't really get to do their best. And we did forget their free attack once, so apologies again for that. Again, it's a new mechanic, so going forwards, try and do it right. But Shadowland's Daredevil was tough. Him getting one shot by Darkchild from Magic, that's rough, it happens. It's a very powerful attack, especially if you happen to roll a lot of skulls in both rolls, attack and defense. On his flip side, he would have got stronger, he gets a better attack, he gets more health. He could have been spiteful and attacked her, but again, it doesn't really matter. That was fun, but I don't think Shadowland's Daredevil or Elektra had as good a first showing as Nick Fury and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but that's just me, obviously open to interpretation. War Criminal, Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange, remains a war criminal. He is too powerful, in my opinion. Wanda, she gravitates towards sometimes hitting above her or equal to her weight class, and sometimes just whiffing. This time, obviously, wiping out Gambit she was hitting right. Ancient One, she was the MVP, holding on to that scroll, doing great, taking hits. I like that miniature. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. See you again in the future for more. Until then, ta-da for now.